I was rewatching Saw recently. After the whole thing about Chris Rock rebooting the franchise, I thought now would be as good a time as any to go back and rewatch the original film. And it occurred to me as I was watching it that Jigsaw would have been an amazing novelist. It has nothing to do with his ability to draw from his own experience, some great material or anything like that, but there was something in the way he thought that would have made him an amazing writer. So, when I say to write better stories, think like a serial killer, what I really mean, I suppose, is to write better stories, think like Jigsaw. In the movie Saw, Jigsaw is this principal bad guy behind the suffering of the heroes. He, at least in the first few movies, is a terminally ill cancer patient who takes it upon himself to teach people the value of their lives. He does this by trapping them in increasingly ghoulish situations where they must do something vaguely horrific, usually involving lots of body horror and gore, or die. At first glance, it doesn't seem like there's much more to it than that. Horror movie bad guys have been torturing and maiming people for decades. I'm going to argue that there's a distinct difference in how Jigsaw kills, and more importantly, I'm going to argue that there's a distinct difference in why Jigsaw kills. You see, Jigsaw's motive is to teach his victims a lesson. It's incidental that most of his victims die. He chooses people that he believes are squandering the gift of life, a drug addict, a philanderer, a corrupt detective. He designs his tests specifically around the people that must undergo them, and through fighting for their lives, they would emerge changed. Amanda Young is a heroin addict and the first victim to escape Jigsaw's test. She's the one who had that reverse bear trap on her head in the first movie. She also has this whole thing where she becomes a protege of Jigsaw's. Oh, and she has this cameo in Dead by Daylight. Oh, that's not important right now. Her test was whether she was willing to kill her drug dealer in exchange for her freedom. At the risk of overanalyzing a 2-minute scene from what amounts to torture porn, this test is a vehicle for her very quick character arc. In terms of character design, it goes a little something like this. Amanda has a weakness. That's self-evident. She's addicted to heroin. Amanda has a desire. She doesn't want to die by having her face ripped open. And running underneath all of this, Amanda has a need. She needs to realize that being addicted to heroin is probably going to kill her. And so, by the end of the test, Amanda has a revelation. She wants to live, not just in terms of divorcing the metal facehugger from her head, but also just in general. And her willingness to kill her drug dealer is the ultimate symbol of her newfound sobriety. Genius. As story writers, we're taught to be mean to our characters, but that isn't enough. Our meanness needs to have direction and focus, like Jigsaw. Only, we're not limited to torture devices and bathtubs full of needles. In the world of our stories, we are omnipotent. So how does Jigsaw teach us to be better storytellers? Well, he teaches us that the worlds we craft in our stories, the environment, the space, the happenings that envelop our heroes, the people our heroes rail against, they must be focused on attacking our characters' weakness. We must confront our characters with the consequences of their weakness, especially in regards to how it gets in the way of their desire. Much like how Amanda is forced to confront her weakness, her heroin addiction, and how it is getting in the way of her desire, we must do the same with our heroes. So, this is all well and good. Jigsaw has an agenda. He thinks life is too precious to squander. You could call this his thematic argument. Spoiler alert for a future video. He finds people he believes are squandering the gift of life, who have that weakness. He puts them into a closed space where he forces them to confront their weakness, to realize their faults. So that's how Jigsaw forces people to change. But how do we actually use this in a story? Let me show you an example of this from a more meta perspective. Let's talk about Star Wars. The world of Star Wars is designed to attack the weakness of the heroes. So Luke Skywalker is the protagonist of the original trilogy. When he learns of a kidnapped princess in need of rescuing, he uses his skills as a fighter to save her, and then defeats the evil forces of the Empire. Leigh Brackett, a space opera novelist, was the original writer on The Empire Strikes Back. Her first draft contained most of the beats of the final film, but she passed away before she could do anything more. Lawrence Kasdan honed her script, and he's responsible for the laser-like focus in which the story world attacks Skywalker. So, what is Skywalker's weakness? Well, for one, he's young, physically weak, an unskilled fighter, inexperienced, hot-headed, immature, prone to rash action. He is contrasted with people who exemplify the traits he lacks. Han Solo is a veteran fighter and capable survivalist. Princess Leia is a born leader, filled with charisma. Ben Kenobi is patient, worldly, wise. I cannot stress this point enough. Kasdan has designed the world of Star Wars to attack his weakness. Kasdan forces Luke into situations where he must fight his way out, and he is constantly confronted with the consequences of his weakness. In The Empire Strikes Back, Luke is training with Yoda on Dagobah when he learns that Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Leia have been kidnapped by Darth Vader and Bespin. Yoda warns him against going. It's a trap. He isn't ready to face Vader yet. But he goes anyway. Leia and Chewbacca escape without Luke's help. In fact, they put themselves in danger, turning back after they've already escaped in order to rescue Luke. Not only did he contribute nothing to their escape plans, everyone would have been better off if he never went at all. In fact, he learns that his worst fear, the ultimate failure state he could possibly envision, that is, losing his friends, losing against Vader, was not even close to what reality could deliver. The reality was, Vader didn't even want him dead. As he was now, Luke never even stood a chance. His core beliefs were based on false grounds. Vader didn't kill his father. Vader was his father. His unique weakness, being young, inexperienced, rash, blinded him to the worst possible result. That's called the absolute negative. And, well, that's a topic for another video. Obviously, Luke's expectation for Bespin was different to what actually happened. Luke's expectations were based on his weaknesses, and the story world forced him to confront the consequences of his actions. And from that confrontation, Luke learns you can't repeat the same mistakes over and over. So by the time Return of the Jedi rolls around, he's no longer a bright-eyed child, but a fighter and a man battling the evil forces of the Empire. In short, Luke has completed a section of his character arc. And if you're wondering why characters should have arcs at all, well, also a topic for a future video. Here's his arc. Luke begins with a weakness. He is inexperienced, immature, and prone to rash action. Luke has a desire to save his friends and defeat Darth Vader. Luke has a need under this. He needs to realize that his actions, whilst having good intentions, did nothing but put his friends in danger. Darth Vader, the trap on Bespin, the legions of stormtroopers, the Force, lightsabers, the Empire, Luke's backstory. All of these things and more are crafted to bring about change in Luke. Just like Jigsaw, Kasdan tests Luke's desire and pits it against his weakness by using the story world. This could have easily been different. Maybe Luke, by chance or luck, rescues Leia, Han, and Chewie. Maybe he fights off Vader himself and meets up with his friends in a Falcon. Maybe Vader isn't Luke's father at all. All of this is possible. The writers have ultimate power in the world, right? As the writer of the story, you get to choose which stormtroopers' lasers hit what. You get to choose how and where and when things happen, what things happen, why things happen. Yet Kasdan, as the writer of The Empire Strikes Back, chose to have Luke be a burden on his friends. That's what I mean by making your story world confront your hero's weakness. Jigsaw found people who didn't value their lives. He wanted to teach Amanda how important life was, not to take it for granted. Kasdan wanted to teach Luke that he couldn't be the boyish hero he was in A New Hope, that he needed to change if he ever wanted a hope in hell of defeating Darth Vader and the Empire and returning as a Jedi. Both Jigsaw and Kasdan crafted worlds to test their heroes' conviction, their desires. They are mean to their heroes. They attack their most fundamental weaknesses, and through the crucible of their worlds, reverse bear trap or rescuing comrades, they emerge changed. Just like in the real world, your characters can't stay the same forever. You get to choose how the story world changes them. So choose carefully.